Hello, this is the Silver Watchman, and welcome back to the Oddworld series. Now, this is an episode 2 out of I don't know how long series, but we're definitely going to try to get to the end of Isaiah by the end of the series, and I mean it. Now, before I get into the breakdown of the previous episode, which was an absolute mess, first things first, join me in some prayer, and kind of set the pace for the rest of the episode. Dear Lord, I ask that you shall speak through me. Let your will be heard on earth as it is in heaven. May you grant us understanding over all things of heaven, all things of hell, and all things of earth, over every man, demon, and angel. May you give me the energy to properly teach and read your word. You may give me the understanding that I need to properly give these people the understanding that they should have concerning your word, your will, and you. And thank you for doing so. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Now, this is a very special game. I know the previous episode I was just tired out of my gourd. I am still tired out of my gourd. This is one of those really late recordings. Yes. Mostly because, college. College has a very, very nice tendency of taking a lot of your time, and you just kind of sit there just wondering, oh gosh, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into? Then you realize it's necessary because, reasons. Well, without further ado, we're starting off, kicking off with Isaiah number 2. Just let me get my handy-dandy PDA ready, and I will be right back. And I am back. I'm just adjusting my mic before I get started on reading the chapter.
Follow me.
Without further ado, let us begin. Isaiah chapter 2. King James Version of the Bible. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. Many people shall go and say, come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Then he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation. Neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people in the house of Jacob. Thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob. Because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines. and they please themselves and the children of strangers. The land is also full of silver and gold. Neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of the horses. Neither is there any end of their chariots. The land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man bows down, and the great man humbleth himself. Therefore forgive them not. Enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust, for the fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty look of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and it shall be brought low, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted that day. And the idols shall he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rock and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? Isaiah chapter 3. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, the count and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother, of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler. And let this ruin be under thy hand. In that day he shall swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people, for Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The shew of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous, that it be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be with him, the reward of his hand shall be given him. For the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee to cause thee to err, and destroy the ways of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye, that ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord, God of hosts? Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab of the crown of the head of the daughter of Zion, and the daughters of Zion. The Lord will discover their secret parts. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their hulls, and their round tires like the moon. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings. The rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle a rent instead of a well set hair boldness, and instead of a stomacher of girding, the sackcloth, the burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. Well then, that is very intense. Give me a few moments to ponder what it is I just read, and I shall return. And I'm back. So, now we're going to get into the breakdown section of the video. So let's start off at Isaiah 2. And we're going to go down to verse 6, because it seems that everything else seems pretty straightforward. Oh, maybe except verse 3. So let's break down verse 3 first. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Well, one who is Jacob. Now, if anyone here has, read if anyone here has read the, Genesis, it's the beginning of the Bible, you know the man of Jacob. Now, Jacob other name is known as Israel. He is a man that is wrestled, I would say, for a very long time, from when the sun went down to when the morning came, with, it said, a mysterious man. Now, many have speculated who this mysterious man was. He could have been the angel of the Lord, a son of God. But it never really specifies. It never really says who is it. But one thing is certain, though. Something very significant is asked during this encounter, towards the end of it. The man asks Jacob, what is his name? And he says, I am Jacob. And he says, from this day forward, you shall be known as Israel. At least I hope I'm remembering that correctly, because if not, then this is horribly embarrassing. So, but the house of the God of Jacob, or the house of the God of Israel, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law. Now, what is Zion? My memory isn't all that good right now, so I'm going to look it up using the handy dandy PDA, and I was just, let's see. What is Zion? Zion is the hill of Jerusalem on which the city of David was built. The heavenly city, or the kingdom of heaven. The citadel of ancient Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the Jewish people, or religion, the Christian church among Rastafarians is Africa. In Hebrew it is Sion, in Latin is Sion, which goes down to Zion. The Old English from Ecclesiastical Latin Sion, from Hebrew Sion. Its popularity hit its peak once again at 1842, drops to an all-time low in 1983, and has recently picked up speed again around 2019. Now, I do have a theory as to why it dropped so low. Maybe in the 80s, I don't know, maybe people just suddenly decided, hey, I don't want to read anymore, I don't want to pay attention. But it may have something to do with the fact that, theology was removed from mainstream learning, which is honestly kind of saddening if you think about it, but oh well. So yeah. So out of Jerusalem shall go forth the law. But it also says down here, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So Zion, still not properly explained. So Zion may be explained as a hill up there. So we go down. So it basically goes into all the people that are and fear the Lord, what they're going to do throughout the entire chapter. This is a prophetic book. And what does that mean is a book of prophecy. If those of you that are unfamiliar for what prophecy is a prediction of what will happen. Now, these predictions are very accurate, but they're also very cryptic on top of that. So unless you understand what exactly you're reading, it's not going to feel like, oh, wait, this thing said this was going to happen a while ago. But that's the thing about it. They're so cryptic, they can be applied to different eras of time. So, as a result, this could be applied to when these people were taken over a while ago, but this could also be applied to World War II, judging by the running and hiding in clefts of rocks in different areas, because there was a necessity to hide back then because of a rather nasty customer that really was a not kind human. Okay, so now we're going to Isaiah number 3. And this one really does, it's starting out at the beginning of the chapter. As the people of Israel are being taken away from their land. And as a result, that is Like the mighty man, the man of war, the judge, the prophet, and the prudent, and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. Now, this could also be attributed to what happens later on in the Bible, which I genuinely forget because it's been so long since I've read that far. But what happens with Israel a lot throughout the Bible is that people from different kingdoms come in and they effectively take over their land and, and rule over them because of their disobedience to God. Now, that happens pretty frequently. Because I believe after... Where am I? I am... Okay, I'm in Isaiah. Yeah, Lamentations is another one where it basically says what is going to happen in the future to Israel if they don't, turn away from their sin. Sorry, I'm a little bit got very tight shoulders right now. And it basically says, once again, more and the decline in their behavior. And the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor, and the child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. Now, what does it mean by the base? Let's see, one method of looking at it would be the base is someone that is kind of a go with the flow and would compromise easily their life, anything. And will not really stand for anything, but will allow anyone else's feelings or the crowd to influence their decisions. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. Now, basically, this is what happens later on. This is in verse 7. I do feel it is to my understanding that this right here is God's response to that, to basically all the things that happened in the verses prior. In verse 7, in the day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. Never mind. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The shew of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. So, like I said, this is entirely a prophetic book. take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler. So this would probably be after they get away from the oppression. Yeah. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. Now, a time where there was some serious oppression, at least in the modern era, for the Jews would have to be, like I said, around World War II. So this could also be a prophetic message for what happens during World War II, which was a very dark time in human history. For the Jewish people and for essentially all of humanity. Because well, I mean, it was a genocidal event, so I naturally feel like that would be a very dark thing that would yeah. But then it goes down to this. Say ye to the righteous, it shall be well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, which lead thee, cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. Now, it basically says this in that it's not going to be like this forever. I've run out of time, and if we have time in the next episode, we will be coming back to this later. But for the time being, then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. John chapter 8, verse 12, King James Version of the Bible. Now, if you want to give your life over to Jesus and have confidence in your salvation and, not have any kind of need to fear death or anything like that, and have a confidence that no matter what, you have an almighty, all-powerful God on your side, then join me in prayer. Dear Lord, I believe that you, Jesus, are the God, that you are Christ, the Son of the living God, and God himself. I ask you shall wash away my sins with your blood, and may you fill me with your Holy Spirit. Revitalize me. Restore me, for I have fallen apart. Mend my heart, mend my soul, and mend my mind, that I may serve you properly, Lord. And I thank you for answering this prayer in full and for giving me salvation. Thank you, Lord. Because to you goes the honor, to you goes the glory, and to you goes the praise. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hated the light shined. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 2, King James Version of the Bible. And, hey look, that's in chapter 9, in the book that we're currently on. We're going to be getting to that verse, because Isaiah is as much a prophetic book of darkness and death as it is a book of hope and prophetic love of God. Also, if you made that prayer in faith, your natural next step is to go and to solidify your connection with God by finding someone who is ordained to give you the baptism of water. Now, what that basically is a confession of faith before man, God, demon, and angel, saying that you believe that the Lord Jesus Christ is your personal Savior and that He is God. It is, at least in my opinion, one of the most powerful actions of taking a stance that anyone could ever make. Anybody can pray, but to go out there publicly and announce that Jesus is your God is amazing. Also, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, or leave a comment, because I do love feedback. Visit the merch shop, which is, it's showing you on the screen. Or if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can, buy some merch from the merch shop, which is right there. You could take care of the homeless, which personally would be an excellent representative of my channel, what I stand for and what God stands for. Taking care of the widow, the widows by, comforting them, hearing their stories, and letting them know that God has not forgotten them by simply being a comforter. Or if you don't want to do any of that, at the very least, protect the orphans, because they have no one. And you could say, what about the Catholic Church? I would rather people that are properly aligned with God. And if you're here watching this, I can only assume that you either have a curiosity of the Lord Jesus Christ, or you are genuinely assigned with God. In which case, welcome, my sibling, my brother, my sister. Because on your shoulders, with the power of God, we can carry this cross and help out whoever needs to be helped. We will not force our ways on anyone. We will simply show them, and we will let God do the rest of the work. For God is good, and we, His servants, will do our best. As we await His coming, which is, honestly, I don't know how far away it is, but judging by recent events, it is not that far away. Thank you all for watching. Glory be to God. And this is the Silver Watchman signing out.